find the artists whose work you believe in the most, or the artistic leaders or whatever, and do everything possible to hang around them. Watch them, intern with them, study them, be influenced by the people who you would like to turn into.
I live in New York City. 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 Yeah.
If you get out and go around and come to here, go to this theater, go there and watch, and you're eventually going to start meeting people that think like you, or that want to do the things you do, and you get together, and that's what happens when you're young and in New York, and you want to be an actor or an artist in the theater, and you have to start creating stuff, you have to start finding out how they did it and start to do it. I mean, that's the only way I know how.
We're always shadow boxing, we're just like following people around, and we're listening and just like trying to learn, and we'll ask questions. There'll be a time where we'll have a venue, like for instance, let's say Mark Masterson at the Humana Festival. We'll have a question. We're not trying to get booked or anything, but we'll have a question about contracts, for instance. Well, come Mark, what are the rules for this?
I came to school not looking for a mentor. But certain directors started noticing me, and I feel like people began to take me under their wing and to let me know that all of the stuff that made me really idiosyncratic would make me a more interesting performer, and that was all really useful material.
A lot of women that have influenced me in my career have definitely been teachers. Female teachers I've had. I had a teacher in high school. My drama teacher definitely found me. I was playing softball, you know what I mean? And I hurt my ankle, and she was like, "Hey, come do this show with me." And I was like, "Great." So my drama teacher in high school, my teachers that I worked with in college, they definitely taught us that men and women, we did a lot of gender play in college, definitely giving females male roles and things like that. So never felt discouraged by them, but they were realistic, They would, when people would go on auditions or we would be running auditions or things like that, they would be honest about what it's really like out there. So I think that helped us a lot.
The playwright, Adrienne Kennedy, she's someone that I got to work with when I was in college. She taught a playwriting class there. It's the kind of support where she's encouraged me to write things that I was afraid of writing. She used to call me at 5 a.m. and leave about 6 messages saying, "I know you're asleep right now, but I've just been thinking about this play that you're working on, and I really think that you need to push this character forward." And then she'll call back, about 5 minutes. And the thing about that character is, and she just would go on, and she just is obsessive, and she cares about you, and if she cares about you, she's going to spend time with you. She's going to try to help you.
The stuff I did mostly in the early 90s was with a director named Ashurbanipal Babila, who was an Iranian expatriate auteur who happened to be gay, and he left Iran because in 1979, the Islamic Revolution was rounding up artists and intellectuals and types like that. Unfortunately, he passed away in 2011, I'm sad to say, but he was a wonderfully sort of influential figure. His plays dealt with a lot of sex, politics, and religion, and in a very sort of burlesque and flamboyant way.
Bill Bragan, who was at Joe's Pub and now is at Lincoln Center, he really got me. I don't feel like I've ever got any people saying, "Oh, we'll help you out." It's just been me punching and doing my own thing. But Bill is the guy who got me, earlier in New York than everybody else. And he really opened up a lot of doors for me. And I love the guy because he's a fan of music. He gets culture, he gets community, he gets art. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Bill.
Back then, the mentorship, I got on my motorcycle and drove across the United States because that's right around when Easy Rider came out. I was headed to San Francisco to study with Margie Jenkins. For 2 years, I studied with her. I was in her company. When I came to New York, she told everybody, "Look out for me." They may not have liked me that much or wondered, what did Margie see in me? But if that hadn't happened, I would have had no idea. And it was a real foothold here.
The reason why we graft onto people is because they can teach us, because there's something in their work that reflects what we feel we're about to grow into. And then there's that moment when you realize that the work that they're doing is their work, and perhaps by aping them, you're actually creating work that fits more in the past than in the present or the future, where you discover that there's a voice in you that is far beyond what you looked toward as a younger artist.